Because it's true, and I feel it, and I'm older, and it's late.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving in 2 hours and 15 minutes. Thanksgiving is not exactly a holiday.
Look, you know what? Quite honestly, this whole year is such a wash for me. I feel like there was no Halloween, there's no Thanksgiving, and fortunately for me, you know, I'm kind of a person that's very antisocial, so I'm perfectly happy not doing it. I mean, I would like to see my family. We do have nice Thanksgivings, but I'm fine with it. And so the truth is, so are my people in my house. So we're actually like fine with it. It's not a big deal.
Well, so, I'm lucky enough where I'm
happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I'm going to be with just a few, like 3 or 4 people.
And we're going to see huge spikes in COVID too.
We are.
And it's going to be horrible for the holidays.
Well, so, you know, it's a great intro to talk about. You know, we're not going to do a graphic on it, but there's a bar called The Wharf in Fort Lauderdale, which is very close to where we are. And they had, I think, something in excess of like 200 or 300 people in the bar the other day. And of course, nobody's wearing a mask on top of that.
No, of course
not. And it's like, at what point do you just say...
But I mean, honestly, just even all the kids coming home from Thanksgiving from school, which is why, you know, I was always like skeptical about that they even went back to school. And now a lot of the schools are not coming back after Thanksgiving because of this. So, I mean, it's just all kinds of, everything is just wrong. And this is the first year. And seriously, Thanksgiving is like my most favorite thing. And I love cooking Thanksgiving and I like hosting Thanksgiving.
Now, Thanksgiving is supposed to be a holiday where, you know, it's the biggest holiday of the year in the United States. Everybody obviously celebrates it if you're, you know, in this country. But, you know, it obviously has very sketchy origins, of course, and that bothers a lot of individuals. But I think that when it comes to, you know, a holiday like Thanksgiving, we have to see the positives for what it actually represents. You know, it's supposed to be a holiday where, you know, it's cliche to say giving thanks, but it's really about what could we be doing for others right now? And especially in lieu of the pandemic, the fact that a lot of people don't have money to put food on their plate. You know, this holiday probably more than ever represents how we as people need to be coming together and, you know, kind of figure out, you know, what are we going to do to make our circumstances better? Because it is just extremely dire right now, extremely dire. You know, you look at everything that's going on, you know, what a time to have a holiday that, you know, is really supposed to be about getting together with family and friends and, you know, making it about, you know, the good things of the year. This has not exactly been a good year, and we're not really supposed to be getting together with that many people.
I actually find it annoying that there's people that are going about their life like there's nothing different. I find it very selfish.
Well, I also think that there are people who just simply don't care if they get sick and die, because I think that there's a certain, you know, sense of acceptance, if you will. It's almost like the 5 stages of grief in many ways. You know, first there's denial, then there's anger, and then there's
really
fear.
Psycho babbling about COVID.
What are the 5? Well, no, I'm just saying that a lot of people are just simply not going to wait. And listen, there's no guarantee that the vaccine's going to work. So who knows what's going to end up happening?
Honestly, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that.
And
I'd much rather continue to live like a hermit, quite honestly.
Millions upon millions of people are not going to take it either.
That's, you know what? Because to me, it's a matter of, if it's not this virus, then it'll be the next one or the next one. And it's going to be like storms. And they're going to get more and more. And I'm just not going to just keep, like, you know, letting Big Pharma keep vaccinating me and making money off of it.
No, there is no question.
No, I'm not. That's just personal preference. I'm not for that. If people want to do that, that's fine. I just would rather not do much, not go out.
I think, you know, and for some people that's acceptable. But again, it's like, how much worse are we going to allow things to get? You know, I still think that there's a direct correlation between COVID and the environment, and the fact that the more because of the climate warming and because it gives these, you know, these diseases an opportunity to become much more potent.
Oh yeah.
You know, who's to say that this is not the end? Like
No,
COVID is
and
just the
that's
beginning.
thing. So for people that think, oh, we'll get a vaccine and everything will be fine. Okay, until the next thing. And I think that it's just a new normal, and there is nothing that is going to make me test some vaccine thrown together by big pharma. Not happening. So, you know, it's just not. So, and if people want to go that route, all the power to them.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what ultimately ends up happening with this whole herd mentality idea that was completely lambasted.
No, it's herd immunity.
Herd immunity, excuse me.
And that is actually a thing. I mean, now whether or not that's relevant here, and I don't know. I don't know enough about COVID to say. I don't.
Right.
But I know for me, it's just a matter of how I'm willing to live or how I'm not willing to live. And that's just the way it is. And I'm willing to accept the consequences of whatever that is. So that's, but again, my personal choice.
Well, for you personally, you can make that choice, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is the wise choice of what everyone else is going to do, where they're going to go out in public and they are going to take risks and they are going to put people in harm's way. And that is very dangerous.
It is. And it bothers me because it's selfish, and it's another sign of how people just don't think about others and just don't care about the collective just in this country. And it bothers me. But then the libertarian part of me thinks, you know what, whatever, fucking Darwinism, man.
Don't curse. We're going to get demonetized.
We aren't. No. Let me tell you something. As of now, we're not monetized because we don't qualify yet. So since I don't have to worry about being demonetized, I'm going to get all the cursing out now. And then when we're monetized, I'll have to be really good. Okay.
So sure, you'll learn your lesson.
Which I honestly think that you just have to bleep it out. Like you can just bleep it out. That's what I think. Bleep it.
So Josh, one of our awesome supporters, says that the vaccine prevents the symptoms. It's not even a vaccine. So I guess that's, I'm not exactly sure what you would call that then.
It's not a vaccine.
No, it's something
well, and I was suspect of anything being called a vaccine that was able to be put together in this amount of time. Because normally it takes a certain amount of time. Like there's a process to that. And it isn't all based on bureaucracy and red tape. There is a scientific process as to duration that things need to exist in order for other things to happen. Like there's a process to creating a vaccine. It's not just, you don't just go make one. It's just, I
also find it very, very convenient. And is it that surprising that the vaccine just happens to come out right after the election, right after Biden wins? You know, you guys like not see the game that's being run on you at this point.
So do we really have, we don't normally come on a Wednesday. This is obviously an unusual.
Pre-Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted to, I didn't even.
Our potential guests fell through.
Yes, we had. We were going to bring on Jordan Cheriton tonight from Status Quo, but
come on in, be a guest. Yeah. I'm like having like a Seinfeld moment, like when Kramer had the Merv Griffin set. Do you remember? He's like, George, good to see you. Come in.
I have had a major breakthrough in medical, whatever it was that he was saying.
Oh no! It was with That was the same episode.
Scandals and Animals.
That was the same episode as the tiny squirrel animal. The tiny squirrel.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And Jack Hanna with the hawk at the end. So funny. All right. So, Lulu, you're so annoying. Oh my goodness. You're going to get stuck back in the box. Yeah.
Yeah, she's not going to like that.
I don't care. I'm so sick of her scratching at the door. So what are we talking about tonight? What's your big news for tonight? This is his thing.
Well, we obviously want to let everybody know, and Jen, you can speak more to this, but we are going to be doing, GenCore is going to be doing.
No. I thought we were going to do like news first.
No, this is much more. This is much more important. So let's talk about this first.
Okay. So regarding holidays and holiday giving and holiday cheer, the organization that I work with, Probation Station, which is run by my friend Mona Lisa Weber, she mentors, I believe it's 40 or so incarcerated youth that are in the juvenile detention facilities in the area. And one of the things that she does is puts together bags for them. I mean, well, normally she actually would be doing a fine dining event. She would be having a Thanksgiving event or a holiday event in December, combining the two. and she really lets them order their own food. It's really cool. But since we can't do that this year, she's putting together nice gift bags, which include things like it's toiletries, it's school supplies, it's stuff that like young men need, but just like it's basic things, but then some fun things too. And so for $20, you can sponsor a bag. You can provide a bag to a kid. And really, it's her running around and just bringing bags to these kids because nobody thinks about them and does stuff for them. And it's just amazing. And the other thing that's exciting news is that today, a big truckload of mulch was dumped on the future community garden that Mona Lisa is spearheading in Liberia. That is going to be a very big project for GenCorps that we're affiliated with. And as soon as there is work for people to be done, we will be doing that. This is an amazing opportunity. A friend of a friend in that neighborhood basically granted this huge chunk of land to the neighborhood. And Mona Lisa and Aaron Hollis are basically overseeing what's going on with this property, and they're turning it into a community garden. I don't even want to say garden because it's going to be more like a farm than a garden, but this amazing opportunity. And then we are also going to be working on a diversion program for youth to be able to work on this farm and learn skills and be mentored. And there's just so many opportunities from this. So it's really cool. And today Mo sent me a picture of a big pile of mulch, and she was very excited about that. So there will apparently be I know it's hard to get excited about a big pile of mulch, but so we are moving along with our friend Maria Jackson, who is an amazing gardener, and I believe Rita Brown. I believe it's Rita Brown. Oh my goodness, I hope it is. And they're awesome, and I know that they will definitely be doing an amazing job there. So very excited about that. And as soon as there's work to be done, that will be we will give notice. I have to change that light, or I'm gonna have a stroke.
Well, we don't want Jen to get have a stroke.
You can't push this all the way up. Okay. It has to be down a little, or it flickers.
Okay.
And it's like a strobe.
So obviously, as we approach the holiday, there were some interesting news. Has been interesting news that's been developing. So as everybody knows, Biden is in the process of picking his cabinet right now. And needless to say, he's picking a who's who of, Wall Street execs and, defense industry, powerhouses and whatnot. But, to the credit of the squad and, some other people in progressive politics, they're actually speaking up against a couple of people in particular.
Let me ask you this, though. Are they really speaking up, or is it Mick resistance theater like a la Nancy Pelosi throwing a temper tantrum standing up?
We'll ultimately see what ends up happening because they've been very vocal. Two particular individuals, I'm going to put it in the chat, Bruce Reed and Rahm Emanuel. Now, if anybody knows who Rahm Emanuel is in particular, he was one of, Hillary Clinton's biggest supporters, I guess you could say. But he is somebody who was a horrific mayor in Chicago. And, the Laquan McDonald story, obviously the shooting there that they covered up. That's just one of many instances that Rahm.
He's not on the progressive side of things.
He is
just not. He's not a friend to the left.
He's as crooked corporate as it can possibly get.
He's not a friend to the left.
And he's a jerk. I mean, let's be real. And he's come after Bernie. He's come after the progressive movement very hard. So needless to say,
not our friend.
No, he is definitely somebody who.
Who is here, bootlicker?
Well, yeah, I
mean, we don't really have an official bootlicker this week, but I mean, I hear Rahm Emanuel.
Oh, we'll make Rahm Emanuel the bootlicker of the week. So we'll tie that in.
We're doing an impromptu. I mean, look, if I'm picturing it, my point is, if I'm looking at it, you're pulling up a picture of him. He needs to. Oh yeah. If you're going to pull up the picture, then we need, are you sharing that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
if Rahm Emanuel, if anybody is going to be a bootlicker, and this guy is a bootlicker because, again, it's all about a career. We talk constantly about how, obviously down here, Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the like, you have all these career politicians. Rahm Emanuel is that person in a nutshell. He will say anything, do anything, and please, in every way, shape, or form, whoever he must.
About that to me, I remember when he was first brought in with Obama as chief of staff, And I remember, granted, I didn't know his history. I didn't know what he was involved in, but he had such a good kick-ass persona that it is so unfortunate that that has been used for not for good and for evil and not good, because he has the kind of persona of someone that if he were working for the left would be an amazingly good person to have on our team.
Well,
and it's unfortunate that he is just not.
Well, he's relentless. I mean, that's one thing about, you don't become the mayor. Well, you don't become the mayor of Chicago unless you're literally, a take no prisoners type of person.
Yeah.
But
he could be, it's unfortunate. And I remember when he first came in under Obama, and of course, this was granted after I first voted for Obama and had a lot of hope about him too, also disappointing. And so, yeah, I mean, every time I see Rahm Emanuel, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember at one point thinking that he was going to really shake things up. Yeah.
No.
That was back in the delusional days.
No.
That was back in the pre-08 days.
No, and he's again, he says very incendiary things. He likes to, again, if you want to be on corporate,
you're right, Josh.
If you want to be on corporate TV and you want to get those high-paying positions, because they pay well. Let me tell you, if you're a regular on CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, that's good money.
I just think it really shows you why. Well, look, at this point, it's just so easy to see why people are in things and what their motives are. People that are interested in that are not interested in actually public service.
No.
So that's why he's a bootlicker and not a change maker.
That's true. And again, Rahm Emanuel is the epitome of the swamp creature that is in DC.
I'm sorry we didn't give our producers enough time to come up with something.
No, we had to put this was like I said, we had a guest lined up for tonight. We will have that guest on at a later date.
There were 3 guests. Yes. Then we were down to 2 guests. Then we had 1 guest. Now we have no guests.
Yes. But we did want to do something.
I was not at all surprised when you invite people like the day before Thanksgiving, because really, it's just,
we're just trying to stay consistent with content.
Yeah,
we want to make sure that we're talking about things that are relevant to what's going on right now.
All right, make him go.
And so, since we no longer want to see Rahm Emanuel's really bootlickerish face. We are going to talk about the other person, and this is the much more serious topic.
Which person are we talking about?
Rahm Emanuel just wanted a position in the cabinet. It is what it is.
What's it being floated around for him is what?
I'm not exactly sure. It was, if anybody in the chat knows what Rahm Emanuel might ultimately be, I haven't read anything as far as like what the specific position would be. It would just be a job within the administration. The one that is much more pressing, though, that I think we have to be concerned about is the position potentially of Bruce Reed.
Which one is that? And are we not going to address this beautiful diversity of women that'll be like a whole new, we're so fortunate that we're going to have a diverse group of Warhawks now. So we're going to get our first Black female in charge of national security, if that's what with Susan Rice. Is for what?
I'm glad that Susan Rice has not been picked. Michelle Flournoy, I believe, is going to be potentially Secretary of Defense.
Okay.
That is not been determined yet.
Is not. Okay, no, that one has not. Yeah. I thought that one is even more uncertain. I mean, every woman. Okay, I saw Medea Benjamin do a clip on something, and there's a really good hashtag going around, and it's feminism, not militarism. And so when people talk about diversity and appointing women in these positions, and by the way, that goes for vice presidential nominations too. It's when you put people in positions based on diversity, but they're just as hawkish as the other people. It's not like a great step for women. I got to tell you, it's not good.
No, and I think that this is, but in a way, I actually think that this is a very good thing that this is happening. And the reason I say that is at the end of the day, they are going to push identity politics for all it's worth, but I think people are really getting sick of it now. Transportation Secretary candidate. Thank you, Flying Jellyfish. That is, again, if you're going to have that type of a position,
his expertise on that would be, although I would pin him as infinitely more capable of that than I would say Ben Carson is Secretary of Housing or Betsy DeVos is Secretary of Education. I mean, at least Rahm Emanuel has actually run a city in an executive branch capacity before. I mean,
the fawning over these people. And I tell you, that is the other thing. People are so enamored. One of the things that doesn't get talked about enough is how much this country is turned off by upper class, highly educated liberals. They cannot stand listening to people talk about, oh, this person went to Georgetown, this person went to Harvard, or God knows what. It doesn't, that does not make you a better person.
Josh, don't ever say her name.
Yeah, dad whose name should not be mentioned.
Don't say her name. It's like Beetlejuice, man.
Yeah,
don't
even
say
it 3 times, or Candyman will appear.
Don't even go there.
Yeah, no, that's.
And the truth is, we don't need to talk about her because she's in it. She's just wearing Kamala suit.
That is for sure.
So she's right where she is.
So what I did want to address, obviously, is Bruce Reed. So Bruce Reed is a gentleman who's being considered for chief of staff. One of the probably 3 or 4 most important positions in any cabinet.
And his history is?
One of austerity. This is a guy who is a deficit hawk if there ever was one. He was Biden's chief of staff when he was VP, bridging the first and second Obama terms, beginning of 2011 to the beginning of 2014. So he was there for 3 years. So he really was in it for a long time.
And what's their beef with him?
Their beef with him is that he has a history of talking about cutting Social Security and Medicare.
Oh.
This is the guy that you want.
Well, but so does Biden.
Yeah, well, but
I mean, it's like we could find so much footage of Biden wanting to cut Social Security.
It's just amazing to me because you're going to have all these people pretend like he's not this bad guy, that Biden is so much better than Trump. Let me tell you something. The only thing Biden might be better than Trump on is the environment, and that's not saying much because he might not move the needle at all.
No. I mean, look, we said at least we'd get back in the Paris Climate Agreement, but the Paris Climate Agreement is a pretty modest goal. It's not exactly like cutting edge. So getting back in that, it's sort of like how now they're fighting to get back to the Obamacare, and we should just be thankful for that. Because now they're defending the Affordable Care Act.
I think with things being as bad as they are, and this whole upright, well, like I said, I thought in a way that it's probably a blessing in disguise that Biden's president and not Bernie, because I think if it was Bernie would be exciting the masses, but they would be finding a way to stymie him. They would be doing things, and Bernie doesn't have that passion, whereas Biden is just completely feckless. He is not going to listen to anybody. And I kind of feel we're at the point now in the history of this country where we kind of have to really just...
Can we
check
behind this? Like when he's wearing sunglasses, I am very suspect
that he's even awake.
Yeah, or that it's not like Weekend at Bernie's. Did you ever see that video where it's called Weekend at Biden's? I wish there was. I don't know what the rules are about playing stuff like that, but it's so freaking funny. It's called Weekend at Biden's, and it's basically that the Secret Service are carrying him around like Weekend at Bernie's body, but and it's Joe with those friggin' aviator sunglasses.
No, and I am absolutely convinced that he does not have it in him to really do this. I think that, again, this is all preparation for Kamala. There is no question that that's what's coming. But the fact that Bruce Reed is being considered for chief of staff, credit to AOC, Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush,
whether or
Jamal
not
Bowman.
Make a difference,
yeah, but they are literally coming out and saying, "Do not put this guy up as your chief of staff. This is absolutely unacceptable. We cannot even talk about austerity at this time." They just gave $6 trillion upward transfer of wealth, and you're coming out talking about austerity like we're going to cut Medicare and Social Security.
Okay, but now what bothers us more? Putting somebody who's like king of austerity in charge of chief of staff, or war hawks in charge of national security in our Defense Department. I find all of it extremely unsettling.
Well, it is.
How's that moving Bernie or Biden to the left working for you?
It's not. And it often makes me wonder, what exactly is Bernie's motivation to get into this administration now? Because by trying to get into this administration, you're taking yourself out of the Senate, which doesn't make any sense. And who's to say that you're not going to be hamstrung? That's my thought, is how do you know you're not going to be put in a position where you're going to be completely ineffective, that they're not going to allow you to do anything? I am really confused as to what that is. Josh Krulik, yes, if there is one person in South Florida who will be appointed to a Biden cabinet position, who would it be in what position? I don't know. Maybe
that's an interesting question.
Maybe
why do we think there would be anybody?
Maybe Donna Shalala.
She's
might
available
be.
now.
Yeah, Donna's very available right now.
For work right now.
She most certainly is. Listen. If there are very few people that I like to dunk on in politics, but maybe Donna Shalala.
Bring in Elsie
to talk about a last hurrah, right? No, there is. Bills Chargers. Who are you picking? If you're asking Jen, we are definitely picking the Chargers because Justin Jackson is on that team and the Bills are in the Dolphins division.
Yes.
So there's no way we're rooting for the Bills.
No.
That's not happening. Great team. Really good.
And I want to be very, very clear that I do not have any problem whatsoever with Bills fans.
Great fans.
You know what? Of all our division rivals growing up, like of all of them.
Oh, they're much better than the Jets or Patriots.
Oh,
Jets and Pats fans are terrible.
The worst. So, always sort of comparably, the Bills were always, they were the closest to us. So I have nothing but love for the Bills. But yeah, I got to root for Justin.
Yeah. So it brings me. Thank you very much, Momo. Jen, you have some fans of your. Yeah.
You know what's so funny? I'm so not used to that everything's reversed. So I see it there and I'm like, he's there. No, he's here. And you know what? This poster has been with me. I had a dream when I was in law school that I was an intern for Thurgood Marshall. And then I got this poster and then this has been with me at every job and every wall. And it's been with me. And, in order to put it up here and not have a glare, I had to take the glass off of it. So now now it's just there. Now it's there. So yeah. And I am aware that it's young Thurgood. Young and really good looking Thurgood as opposed to old and very heavy set Thurgood, which, still brilliant.
If only we if only we still had Supreme Court justices like Thurgood.
I can't even.
Yeah, it's just we just keep sliding down.
But you know what?
Keep going down.
It's sort of like though he's the angel on my shoulder. That's every time I feel like I'm doing something. He's looking over me. He's looking over my shoulder.
Yeah. Keep sharing the live stream, guys.
And as usual, per usual, I will also highly recommend anyone who has not seen the movie Marshall with Chadwick Boseman. It's quite amazingly good.
And again, 2020, one of those years, Chadwick Boseman passes away. It's like, wow. And we've still got over a month to go. So, hey, you never know. Could have a
Don't say stuff like that.
Don't
say stuff like that.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. They've made bad horror movies about bad Santa and stuff like that. I mean,
Bad Santa is not a horror movie.
No, I'm saying that there was a horror movie that was made like that.
Billy Bob Thornton, one of his glorious.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. I really liked Chadwick in the Jackie Robinson movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good.
That was good.
I'm a sports guy.
What was his number? Because that was the name of
42.
Was it 42?
That was the name
of the movie. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I knew that the movie was the number. And I did see it. And I do know about Jackie Robinson and the Brooklyn Dodgers. I do. I know all about that.
Well, my grandfather,
I know all about Ebbets Field.
My grandfather, who was who lived in Canarsie in Brooklyn, and he was a Yankee fan, but he still talks about there was nothing like being in New York when the Brooklyn Dodgers won the World Series in 1955. The only time they ever did, and they were. They were all the hot dog guys were wheeling the hot dogs out. They were giving out free hot dogs to everybody in town. Them bums finally won the World Series. That's one of the great stories ever. And if you look at the team that Jackie Robinson was on, I mean, it really was a who's who from Pee Wee Reese, Don Zimmer, Gil Hodges,
do you think
Johnny
that the
Padres.
People that are watching this on social media
give a damn or have a clue?
No, they don't. So move on to
your
next story.
We always talk about politics, but we want to have a little sports and politics.
It's either of those things. It's sports or politics.
That's my life. I love it.
All right. Move on to your next story carefully because I have a new rule now.
So as you guys all know.
No, well, they don't know.
We have well, there's a lot of things they don't know about this lady. We're gonna let them know. So as it turns out, and in the final conclusion to the Biden cabinet, the wonderful corporate Wall Street Biden cabinet that's going around in terms of who he's picking. John Kerry was just confirmed to a new position.
Woo! John Kerry.
Yes,
I campaigned for him. I was on the Kerry legal team. I was. Look, that was following 2000, and we really were. We had to worry about the hanging chads.
Bush was trying to become president.
Whatever.
So anyway, Kerry gets appointed to this new climate change position.
Which, by the way, doesn't bother me in the least, this whole thing.
No, I mean, listen, you have to have it. And,
he is a good statesman.
Kerry,
I don't have a beef with him in terms of that role.
I mean, Kerry was assisting in the capacity to get us into the Paris Climate Agreement. Paris Climate Agreement, but it wasn't that good. I mean, it's better than nothing, but it nowhere near goes as far as it needs to go.
Okay, you know what, though? John Kerry is somebody that, you know what? Yeah, you don't necessarily, he's not a leader person necessarily, but he is very well regarded internationally, and there is a certain amount of respectability about him, and that's something we really need now coming out of the past 4 years.
And as I said, the one thing you can absolutely say in the difference between Biden and Trump is that we are going to move more in the direction of where we need to go in terms of the environment. Maybe not enough.
We very well might end up in 2 additional wars.
We might. And then it totally climate agreement. But then it totally but the war machine is what causes more climate change than anything else. So what's the point?
Isn't it?
No, not ironic, just the reality. And so
it's what, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back?
2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Yeah, well, 2 steps forward. Well, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's it. Well, you're thinking of the Paula Abdul song. That's the problem. You kind of get all caught up in that.
Biden's not going with the Green New Deal. But the thing is, Biden's not really in charge here anyway. Let's be real.
And so the embodiment of the worst kind of politicking, which is extreme gaslighting, was done today, and it was done by none other than Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
And this is the thing. Like, people who know me know I really don't like talking about her. I don't like looking at that ridiculous 30-year-old freaking headshot of her where she actually, I think, was the one day she did her hair. Yeah. And honestly, it's just ridiculous at this point.
So Debbie Wasserman Schultz has well, again, we had to put out a response to this because it's just absolutely insane.
So my new rule is every time Peter talks about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I'm going to go smoke a bowl. So,
no.
Yeah.
So Debbie puts out a tweet today that says, after 4 years of ignorance, the climate crisis will finally be a focus of the White House, with John Kerry serving as the first ever special presidential envoy for climate. Mother Earth couldn't wait a minute longer.
Yeah, definitely need to.
This is like
need to smoke in order to tolerate that.
For the idea that this woman who supports fracking
takes money from
big sugar and gives it subsidies.
How about from
NextEra Energy, which is Florida Power and Light, and voted to fast track the TPP and voted against the Green New Deal?
See, you're going to make me have to do it again. You're getting me all like stoned. She's toxic. She's very toxic.
Again, we don't ever deal in personal when it comes to Debbie. No. Everything is policy substantive.
Okay, but I did mock the 30-year-old headshot because it is ridiculous.
Well, it is ridiculous. I mean, yes, she does.
Update your picture. Let me know what. That's a personal pet peeve of mine, of anybody in any industry.
She does. She uses a headshot from at least probably 15 years ago.
Your headshot should be within 5 years. It should be within 5 years, actually, preferably within 3 years, but it really should if you're using it on a regular basis.
Hit that hit that like button, guys, if you haven't, if you're on especially YouTube and Facebook. You're not fraud.
You're a fraud.
Hit the like button and share. We gotta build our following. Subscribe.
You gotta subscribe.
Remember, you can also subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
You can also be Patreon members.
That would be awesome.
And Patreon members, and here's the thing: you can be a Patreon member for $1 a month. It's $1 a month. There's $1, $5, $10. I am sending out these bracelets to everybody who is, I believe the qualification for my little bracelets is $5 and up. Look, little bracelets. and this is giving business. I have a woman on Etsy that's doing these custom. So she's like a small business person. I don't even know where she lives. But anyway, so she's doing these for me on Etsy, and it's really cool. And we are getting jerseys. I don't want t-shirts. I want jerseys. I want vintage raglan baseball jerseys with purple sleeves, and it'll be our generational change logo.
We're going to have our Gen Core t-shirts in about a week.
But that's free to volunteers.
Yes, if you want to volunteer with us, we need, we need all the help we can get, because again, what we really need is we're going to do it essentially as a team, but we need a volunteer coordinator, and we do have some assistants. Josh, we've got some other people who are going to get involved. We just need to have a set schedule. Once we have that, and we're really we're in line with what we want to do. For example, Mobile School Pantry is a great group that we're volunteering with. There's also a great organization that I just came across the other day when I was helping out Mayor Tamara James in Dania Beach. It's called Patch. They have basically it's like a greenhouse farm. It's really, really awesome. So they're growing their own produce. It's cool. Really, really good. And what they have is I don't have a picture up on the screen right now, but they came they created like a trailer, if you will, that they could drive around and go to the neighborhoods that need it when people don't have transportation, just drop off the produce.
Wait, it's called what?
Patch.
Patch. That almost sounds like, that Z has a bus. That's a Mobile School Pantry bus, and that's named Sprout. So that's why I just thought that was kind of fun. And I have to give a shout out to Scott Schneider, who says Susie Troop sent you.
That's awesome.
Well, okay. First of all, anybody who is sent by Susie Troop is definitely a friend of ours. So, yeah, welcome wherever you are. If you're local, and you want to get involved, what do we have here?
We have new Patreons.
Oh, new patrons. See, no. Do we call them? They're not Patreons. They're patrons, and the channel. The thing is Patreon. They're not Patreons. They're patrons on Patreon. And I am the old person here, and I even know this. Okay, so we have 3 new patrons. Josh Krulik, woo! Who also is somebody that's helping us with our local Gen Corps volunteer efforts.
Yes.
Maurice Cartman and Anthony D'Angelo. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much for your support.
No, seriously, I'm sorry I got distracted. My dog is making me into she
can't decide which side of the door she wants to be on.
Like she just keeps scratching to get in and then out and then in and then out. And she's this little furry princess, and everybody and then people are just everyone's her bitch. Now she's trying to get out again. You need to just go lock her in your room with you. I know that sounds horrible and mean, but she's really very well loved and cared for. She's just really a diva.
No, she's a diva. But how could you not love her? She's just too cute. She's just too cute. Yeah. Okay.
So
we didn't want to.
So yeah, new patrons. Thank you all.
Yes.
And guys, spread the word. And as much as watching and liking and subscribing on YouTube is really the most important thing right now, as much as we love Patreon members. But just tell everyone to at least just check us out and subscribe on YouTube, because that's free. And that's what we really need right now. So I would appreciate that. So yes, jerseys are forthcoming for Generational Change. Actually, my goal would be to present both design ideas I want to see both of my ideas and then pick one and just go. But yeah, anybody who wants to get involved locally, we do have Gen Corps t-shirts that will be our thing. And I'm excited that I feel like now I have access to not like my own garden, but a farm that I know I can always help and work on and do stuff with. I don't have to wait for the town of Davie to call me back to say, oh yeah, this is who you need to contact to not be able to help us work on our farm, or, just all the hoops that you have to jump through to help. So I'm very excited.
We've definitely got, it's funny. We have a lot of things in the works, but we're not as organized as we would like to be. That probably more than anything else is really the key, because we have volunteers. People want to get involved, but organization is so vital.
So if there's somebody who wants to really or thinks they'd be really good at, think of it this way. This, for anybody who wants to do community service and wants to be able to really, help in this community around here, this is an opportunity for you to have a platform and a volunteer army. And yeah, this is not a paid job. This is something but if you want to have people at your disposal, and quite honestly, you don't even need to leave your home if this is something that whoever is out there wants to be able to do from home.
Exactly.
I don't even think it needs to be somebody local, but somebody local will know better.
Who knows the territories and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason is just to know what local things need help.
And I would say that for anybody
who
would be interested in being a volunteer coordinator with GenCore, you're talking about maybe 5 to 10 hours a week tops. Not even 5 to 7, if that.
I mean, it's very minimum. And I think really once we have established organizations that we're working with,
right,
it's really just a matter of putting up a weekly schedule and having people sign up and just allocating different people. Like it's basically just keeping track of a calendar.
No, 100%.
That's essentially what it is. And yes, we are going to need help on the end in terms of recruiting volunteers, but I think we have some help like that we're thinking about that will be able
to and especially if you're if you're in high school, if you're in college. Obviously, if you're in high school, service hours is a very big thing. We met this nice gentleman, Alex, who was with us at the mobile school pantry distribution the other day.
Yeah.
And
great
young guy.
Because the truth is that they can do this on their own. They can volunteer through whatever volunteer match and do it on their own. But there's really this kind of cool thing about, well, I mean, not just hanging out with us. I mean, because it is fun to hang out with us. But no, I mean, it's
totally great to hang out with us. We're the best people,
but
tremendous people.
The kids that we are generally that are around and that are volunteering with us, and it's just really good people. And it's just a nice group of people, and it's sort of I don't know. It has a social element. It has a little bit of a political element. There's just different kinds of opportunities. It's not just, one service thing here. So when you get involved with us, it's just a little bit, it's more diverse than just one day here and one day here.
And we're also in somewhat of a purgatory type situation right now because COVID is really, really bad in this state and especially down here.
So we're somewhat limited.
For those of you that are tuning in right now, and if you haven't hit the like button and subscribe, please do, especially on YouTube. That is where we do our podcasts as well. We're going to try to do content more, obviously, as consistently as we can. We do have a awesome new podcast that just dropped with John Kiriakou.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it yet, highly recommend you go check it out.
Anybody who's first coming on now, there is like an entire little library of really cool interviews with really cool people that I've already done. It was really fun. And so Monday, the interview with John Kiriakou came out, but now on this Monday, what's coming up?
Oh, we got our real, of all the, there were two people in particular, I have to say, when Jen ran the first time, because let me tell you, very few people really put themselves out there to help her when this campaign started. One was Jordan Chariton. He's a personal friend of mine. He's a really good person, and he was the first one that granted her an interview. But the second person who did it is somebody I don't know on a personal level, and that, of course, is Mike Figueredo, who does the Humanist Report. He was there for Jen, like from jump. And, the
truth is a lot of people that probably are watching this probably also watch the Humanist Report. So it was really fun to be in the reverse with Mike, where I'm interviewing him.
And he probably never gets interviewed.
Not really, no. And he's just, okay, first of all, we talked for over an hour, so it's also going to be a really long episode, but he is just so, he is everything that is right with the whole point of indie media. Like, he's just where it's at. So he's just very, and by the way, I would like to point out that one of our producers, John, had said that of all the guests he's coordinated with and everyone that he's interacted with, that Mike was just by far just.
The other thing that I love about Mike is that he's a true pioneer for the LGBT community.
Yes.
Because he takes absolutely no BS. He is a very proud gay man who has a very checkered history, coming out, the difficulties that existed, and he despises the phonies in the LGBT movement.
Like the social justice warriors.
The people that are in it for a career, not naming any names. You know who those guys are on social media, not saying anything. You know who they are.
Well, speaking of which, that gets us back to what Sam had commented before about mentioning who was voted like the best ally of the LGBTQ community.
I probably have to pull this up, guys, because you need to see this. And we put a tweet out earlier about
it really disgusted me. Are you bringing her up again? You just really want me to be baked.
I think that at this point,
I'm going to need to be. We're talking about her again.
Oh my God, they have this going back to 2016. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to.
She gets it every year. It's
I'm
like
not going
to.
I'm not going to pull this up. Okay, so what we have again, Florida's Democratic Party is extremely, extremely corporate and centrist and just the worst kind.
For frame of reference, the state Democratic convention was sponsored by Big Sugar and Walmart. So that's our state Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So that's his frame of reference. They're They definitely do not lean to the left.
So unfortunately, because the state's democratic infrastructure is so bad, and yes, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is still the leader of the Florida Democratic Party. Everybody knows it. Howie Klein has actually been putting that out there quite a bit. It's like, Terry Rizzo is a nice lady. I know her personally.
This is when you're going to go off on a tangent that most people
I'm not going off on a tangent.
Necessarily know who
Terry
that is.
Rizzo is the Florida Democratic Party chair.
They don't know because they don't care.
But she is only the chair in name only. She doesn't actually run the show. Debbie runs the show.
It's unfortunate.
And so because
she runs it about as well as her running the DNC.
Well, that's why the infrastructure is so bad.
Florida's red. People.
So I'm going to.
It's red.
So for those of you who don't know,
we are on this swing.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz is very close with Michael Bloomberg. Has been for quite some time, and Bloomberg has been systematically taking over the Democratic Party in this state.
Well, he's bought it.
He's bought it.
No,
literally.
You don't have to say. No,
and what's even more amazing is the amount of money he put into this state. Trump ended up doing better this time than he did in 2016.
Okay, but here's what's so interesting. So on a national level, the Democratic Party is basically owned by the Clintons.
Correct.
And on a state level, our Democratic Party is owned by Michael Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. So we're doing well there.
So the last thing we're going to show you guys tonight, it's a little bonus, if you will. It's not news and amuse, but here's the deal.
I'm going to need to have a serious.
And what's even more interesting is that we both happen to know the ex-wife of this gentleman. His name is Manny Diaz.
Oh, we do.
So Manny Diaz, who is the former mayor of Miami.
I saw this.
And his son is the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes football team. Michael Bloomberg now wants this man to become, with all due respect, Lourdes, if you're watching, Manny Diaz.
Well, are they on good terms? I mean, are they divorced?
I mean, they're divorced. I don't know what kind of terms they're on, but I'm just saying with all due respect, but Manny Diaz is extremely corporate. He basically is another Steve Patel.
But so is the party here. So that's what you're getting regardless of who it is. That's why I don't understand, even talking about things like the cabinet. It doesn't matter who it is. It's going to be some corporate drone.
Well, but here's the thing. Michael Bloomberg is as corporate centrist right as it gets.
Yeah, no, I don't consider him centrist.
And there's a lot of people who are now
talking.
He is, but there's a lot of people talking now that are like, do we really want Michael Bloomberg funding the party?
I think that ship sailed.
This is a consultant class party. But at the end of the day, the idea that you're going to allow this guy to take over, I mean, when are you going to accept the fact that wholesale changes within the party needs to be made?
Florida is going to be the last place. They're going to hang onto it with their death grips.
And the one who ultimately runs the show and pulls the strings is Debbie Wasserman Schultz. There is no way that this man is being considered for the head of the Florida Democratic Party if Debbie is not having a say in it. She has the relationship with Michael Bloomberg. She is the one who sees to it that his money moves in this state. That is a fact. Now, in terms of who we support, don't really know her personally, but the lady whose name is...
What are you saying we? I don't know that I've committed to this.
No, but... Well, I'm just saying that apparently there is a progressive in Tampa Bay. Her name is Janelle Christensen. Cindy Benai, who we met in Orlando, who ran for Congress, says that she's pretty good stuff. Okay, look, she's probably better than Mr. Diaz, but at the end of the day, I don't really know enough about her, and I don't know if we're really going to be able to mount a challenge. The only thing I can tell you is that in this state, in terms of who could potentially run for high office and is really the genuine article, Ann Eskamani's the only one we know of right now.
Yeah.
Is she going to run for governor? I hope she does. Because
that's a jump. We're just talking about state party chair, right?
Yes. But money in politics is definitely a very, very big problem down here. And the fact, but again.
Although who also, again, Donna Shalala's available right now. Wouldn't shock me if she took over that job.
We have a very big problem in politics when it comes to what is known as the consultant class, but here in Florida, it is a cottage industry.
But the revolving door is ridiculous.
This is why we have.
Just ridiculous.
I mean, again, if you didn't know any better, you would think the Broward Young Dems are basically just consultants in training, because that's basically what they are.
There are a lot of people that are just aspiring politicos. But what's so grotesque, but this is probably the same for a lot of places. This is not necessarily Broward specific, but this entire incestuous rotating door of
our county commission.
Yeah, that are all people, they term out of the House, they go into the commission, they can't get elected as a state rep, so then they go in for soil and water conservation district, and they get that because there was nobody even in that.
It's not supposed to be a career.
Why these people do is just rotate positions and until they term out, and it's just, and then there's this underlying rule, of course, that you don't challenge a sitting Dem.
Yeah.
You in any position, you wait for them to term out or die, and that's what people do here. And if you dare to challenge a sitting Dem, you are just a pariah.
Now, there are people who clearly were appreciative. There were always going to be people that were going to come after Jen because she dared to challenge the Queen of Broward. But at the end of the day, even the people who put on a face behind the scenes would always say, please get her. Take her out. She's the problem. She's the reason nothing can get done around here. But remember, a lot of these people are in it for a career themselves behind the scenes, and they will not go against the DCCC or any of the other organizations that say, if you challenge a sitting Democrat, you are dead to us.
Well,
literally dead.
They're literally scared of her. And
they are.
Or they're career climbing and looking for their next job or their next, what they can run for, what position they can get. And so they need to lick the boots of whoever is in charge at the moment. And so that's just the way it is.
The hardest part about this, and this is it's funny. It's like anything in politics. If you don't know that the person's there, sometimes you forget that they're there. The biggest problem with Debbie Wasserman Schultz is she is never going to let you forget that she is there, because she's always going to find a way to open her mouth and say something really insane.
I wish more people noticed it in the wrong direction. So,
well, it is on us to build our platform, and for you, the viewer, to help us build our platform.
Flying
in order to make that
Jellyfish
possible.
has a good question.
Do you think the Florida legislature is going to find a way to kneecap the $15 minimum wage?
Well,
if Ron DeSantis is our governor,
if there is whatever methods can be reasonably done to do that, yes, that's what they're going to do.
Of course.
So, but it's sad, but this is the constant battle we're in now. We know that we're not going to get things through our legislature, so we do things by ballot initiative. We get things passed, and then we still have to first fight with the legislature, but at least it's coming in there. Whereas if it went the original route of coming through the legislature, it's just never going to even exist. This is what we're dealing with, people. And unfortunately, it really does come down to locally that everybody protects the people in the seats above them and protects the people that are whatever's offering them the best thing. And it just keeps the whole machine churning.
Well, for those of you who don't know, Anna Eskamani is in Florida's State House District 47. It's in Orlando.
Ranked choice voting.
I think ranked choice voting.
I want to say ranked choice
is
voting
probably the issue that we should put on the ballot.
Yes.
Because I do think that there's momentum. Andrew Yang, who is a friend of Jen's and obviously a supporter of our campaign, he is actually a very big advocate for it. And I do think that his voice matters a lot. Nina Turner, who's also friendly with Jen.
But you know what? Here's the thing about ranked choice voting. Is it's not sexy, but it is something that a lot of different people will get behind.
Right.
It's something that is appealing. It's not left. It's not right. It really is something that's just populist.
And what's amazing is that, everybody would look at, let's say, the senatorial race in Maine and say, well, Lisa Savage only got 5% of the vote. Howie Hawkins got less than 1% of the vote. 5%?
Yeah.
5%, for those of you who don't know, is federal funding. Yeah. If every state gets 5% of the vote of a given political party, they will get the federal funding, and that will change the narrative. They don't want this to happen. And look, we're not a fan of jungle primaries, but even jungle primaries almost passed in the state.
I know, but I'm glad it didn't.
I agree.
I'm glad it didn't.
But like you said,
here, a lot of people were very misled by that.
Correct.
And that's the problem. So I think if we are really talking about starting seriously a ballot initiative, I do think that that ranked choice voting would be one that is not a hard sell to people, and it's something that is never going to come out of our legislature.
No, it's definitely something that we, the people, are going to have to do on our own. Yeah.
So, and it's not a hard sell. So I think that would be a good thing to pick up as a ballot initiative. And you know what? For all I know, that is some group out there is doing that. I don't know. I
still think that the biggest reason why why there is no real movement in a positive way in this state is not because of the Republican Party, it's because of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is totally corporate and feckless down here. They do not fight the GOP the way that you need to. You need to fight them on issues. Case in point, this state went to Trump easily, and it easily passed a $15 minimum wage.
Yep.
It's all about the issues.
That just really shows you the issues are populist issues, not
left
and right issues.
And even if Trump doesn't support it, Trump is less likely to go out there and say anything negative about it, whereas the Democratic side, and again, this is one of the reasons why independent media is so important. The mainstream media, the corporate media, spent so much time over the past 4 years just dunking on Trump, telling him how everybody how terrible he is and how his plans are just bad and blah, blah, blah. They are never going to challenge Biden. This is all about access. This is all about, his policies are fine. I'm not going to, have any issue with him. We're in a situation right now where we need to continue to build this channel because, look, while we may not have, national influence, local influence and state influence could be pretty big. And I will say that, if, like I said, and we're going to conclude on this point.
Well, I have to. I wanted to say something interesting.
Sure.
Yeah. So this is talking about the pardon situation.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to at least I just feel like we need to find a way collectively to put the little idea in Trump's little man baby brain that pardoning Julian Assange not only would be one way for him to sort of have any saving for a legacy, but would be a way to do that and also be the biggest fuck you to the Democratic establishment on his way out the door. And I think if he thinks of it that way, because it's one of those things where he needs to come up with that on his own. He needs to sort of think, we need somebody like Tucker Carlson to sort of suggest it. Now, my understanding was from talking with Mike yesterday that Jimmy actually went on Tucker Carlson and was sort of suggesting something like that. I don't know because I don't watch that. But so that's something I just want everybody to be aware of that.
People have to remember that Trump is still in office for another 2 months.
And anything that we can do, honestly, if he were to pardon Julian Assange, then that would change everything. It would. That would be
you guys don't understand.
This is a very big deal.
The freedom of the press is literally hanging by a thread.
People don't understand the gravity.
They don't understand it. No. And they try. And when I see these people put out these messages about, Assange communicated with Donald Trump Jr. about not accepting the results because they may cheat him. Who gives a damn?
They don't understand.
Who cares if Julian Assange has a relationship with Don Jr.? Do you not understand how press freedom works?
No, these people don't understand. Well, this is the thing.
This is all personal for them. Everything is personal. It's oh my God.
But they're all basing it on the leaks of the emails regarding the election, when in fact what he is being, charged with goes back to Chelsea Manning and the release of the information of the
torture.
Well, no, it was war crimes.
Yeah.
It was the war crimes. It wasn't the torture. It was the shooting civilians and journalists and whatever, that video footage and those different things. And so, people don't understand this, but I've been saying this for about 8 years now, that the extradition of Julian Assange is the end of our First Amendment in this country. And I'm not being hyperbolic, because if he's capable of being brought here and tried under the Espionage Act, which by the way, is outrageous for a non-US citizen to even be charged under the Espionage Act. That's just an outrage in and of itself. And where are you, Australia, and standing up for one of your nationals? But Jen, no, this is seriously a very big deal.
And Jen is going to be going on with a very popular
I don't think we should be saying this
person. We're not going to say who it is, but she's going to be going on with a very popular individual in independent media. And perhaps the main topic of discussion is going to be about censorship, because this is a serious problem.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't see it yet. You're already
we're not
seeing
covering it. Our media doesn't cover it. Please understand, and you know what's also infuriating?
But the reason they're doing it is because they know that the people are waking up, and they're trying to stop them at all costs. And this is one of the ways to do it.
They put out little snippets and talking points that get people like neolibs talking and saying stuff that, well, he's not really a journalist. I could still remember when Chris Cuomo went on national television and said, "You're not allowed to read the WikiLeaks emails." Are you out of your effing mind? Yeah. This is, first of all. So people be aware that the Julian Assange situation is still very, very scary. and very right now happening. And my understanding, you know, and I'm worried about him anyway, and I've been worried about him, and my understanding is he's not doing well.
No.
He's sick. I've heard that he can't even communicate with his attorneys because of COVID. He has to sit in his box. I've heard he looks really frail. I've heard he has been sort of like babbling kind of incoherently in terms of just not.
Which means he's got I'm trying to think of the right term. He's
like having dementia.
No,
probably
that's not
from
the
being
word.
like malnourished and a whole bunch of other stuff.
He's delirious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Delirium. He has delirium.
But in any event, it's really bad. And I mean, they're basically going to just listen. I don't think there's going to be a trial. I don't. I think they're just going to try to kill him in prison by basically starving him to death. They're going to Arkansas him.
Yeah, that's essentially what's going to happen. Like, he's going to die of natural causes, but it will be because they deliberately found a way to make sure he didn't have anything.
Well, I mean, the way he's been living would have killed a lot of people.
I agree, but he has a will to live, and that's amazing because he knows that he has something to fight for.
Another shout out for Chelsea Manning, because serious, like,
all I can say is I hope against all
heroes.
hope. You know, I don't have any love for Trump. I think he was in over his head. He just wanted to run for president. He didn't actually want to govern this country, and he doesn't care about anybody but himself.
He just likes the campaigning. He just likes the salesmanship.
Yeah, but if he cares an iota about his legacy, he has no idea how much it would help it if he actually pardoned Assange. Not because we're enamored.
And I would throw in. There's some other people I would throw in there too.
Absolutely, like Snowden, Chelsea Manning. Sure. But if it's nobody, you see, again, Edward Snowden would be the first to tell you, just save Assange. Just make sure he's okay.
Yes, because at least Edward Snowden lives in a, livable conditions.
He's also Snowden doesn't get to where he is unless he knows what he's doing. Other people are not as, again, Snowden
he's not living in a horrible life.
Snowden is special ops.
And
so
yet,
it's totally different with a guy like
but
that.
yet he still should be free to come back to this
agree.
country.
But if you care about freedom of the press, if you care about your First Amendment rights, again, I don't care if you like Assange, because he's not perfect. Nobody is. There's issues there.
But basically what people need to understand about this, who don't understand, is that if we're able to charge Julian Assange under the Espionage Act as a publisher of factual information.
Correct.
That means that anybody who prints factual information can be punished. That's that. I mean, this is horrifying.
It should be. And again, most people don't realize how horrifying it is until it's too late. Kind of like climate change down here in Florida. You don't actually know how bad it is until you literally step outside a week and a half ago and you're in 3 feet of water. You try explaining that, because it ain't normal, and it's only going to get worse.
But, I mean, look, as far as Debbie's concerned, kudos. John Kerry's our guy. He's going to make everything better.
Yeah. I am going to make everything better.
Don't. That's very scarily like your Mitch McConnell.
Oh,
I can't. And there is no way we are ever having a Mitch McConnell mask. I cannot. That man. Oh.
Just
the worst.
On that
He's
note,
the worst.
On that note, we are definitely going to look to set up a live stream with Nabila Islam and damn, I'm forgetting his name. He was your slate mates from Georgia.
Michael Owens?
Yes, Michael Owens. We're gonna have them come on and talk about the Senate run, the Senate, the 2 runoff races in Georgia.
When are those happening? When is that?
January 5th. So we'll probably have them on like right after New Year's, like a few days before the election.
You know what, Sam? You want to talk about the Eastern District Court of that, because if he gets extradited, that's where I'm going, is to the Eastern District of Virginia.
You count on Jen being there.
And as everybody should be, anybody who has any means in any way to get there needs to be like a flood of people, like a march on Washington. This is unacceptable.
The scary part is that the mainstream media will, and we should stop calling it the mainstream media. It's the corporate media. That's what it is. It's corporate state. It's corporate state. That's what it is. So for them, it is infinitely more important to protect corporate special interests than it is to protect press freedom. These people are stenographers. If you thought the press was bad during the Trump administration, you wait until you see what this is going to be like. If you want to talk about fawning, because what the Biden administration is also going to do, it's not going to let people in that are going to question him. This is all going to be people with token stuff. It is going to be so unbelievably bad. it's like I said, it's not good. And so with that in mind, I think we wrap for now.
Yeah, Josh asked who am I close with on the BNC slate. You know what? I wouldn't say like I'm super close with anybody, but there's definitely like a certain camaraderie that's just there from all going through this. So
Paula Jean wants to come on the live stream.
Yeah, like
we'd love to get Corey on.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell anybody really that I have met through BNC has been nothing but really just great people and people that are really in this for the right reason. So, but yeah, there's certain ones like Michaela and Lauren and Eva and Zena,
Kim Graham,
Rebecca Parsons. I mean, these are all really
Lauren Ashcraft.
I said Lauren.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. You didn't say that.
Jamal Bowman, Albert Lee,
Anthony Clark.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are all really good.
Yeah, we had a really good group.
Really, and there were really good people that most of you never even knew or heard about because either their races were not as interesting or sexy, or they just didn't necessarily have the same chance based on the red-blue nature of their district or whatever it is. So there's
Nick
a lot
Ravando, Adrian Bell.
Yes, and like who was the guy who we thought looked like kind of like Fred Armisen?
Oh, Peter.
There was like
the guy from Portlandia, and he's from that area.
Yeah. So I mean, there were I met some really good people, and all of them are people that I would. Yeah.
But we're gonna have them come on the live stream.
Yeah, we'll get some people to come on.
Definitely Michael Owens.
Is there someone that you really like, Josh? Do you have somebody that you like that
obviously
you want us to have on?
Well, the ultimate get, of course, is Corey Bush.
And you know what? And the truth is that really once people get to that point, they don't have time like they used to. They just don't. That's the reality. I mean, it's like her life changed basically overnight.
Yeah.
And truth is, Corey is somebody that probably works, 23 hours a day. So, and
knowing Corey, she probably does because she was working 23 hours a day prior to anyway.
Okay, so Josh, I can definitely have Lauren come on.
We'll definitely have Lauren.
If you have a soft spot for Lauren, Josh?
When is George Soros coming?
She's pretty young, but she is involved. We've met her partner. She's one of those people that uses the term partner for significant other. I've referenced this before.
Well, Lauren is actually, I think, helping with the movement for a People's Party. So
yes. Well, she was a speaker too.
Yeah.
When's George Soros coming on? Yeah.
That's funny.
You mean our big donor?
According to some people.
We should do one day. We should come in here and we should just temporarily replace Thurgood with like George Soros and see if anybody notices.
That would be good.
I just want to do different things that Thurgood, but I will never deface him. I would never deface Thurgood.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, gobble, gobble.
Thanks for coming on. Remember, subscribe.
Definitely subscribe. Be Patreon members.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. We really appreciate you obviously checking in tonight.
Get a purple and orange hemp bracelet
just
for
$5
$5
just
a month.
$5. That's it.
But yeah, although Josh, if you're going to come and help us with Gen Core and do serious like volunteer coordinating, I'll be tempted to give you the bracelet.
Yeah, that's one way to entice him because he just wants that bracelet.
He wants the bracelet.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get Christine to help us out. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in tonight, guys.
Bye,
we
guys.
will see you. Remember Monday. If you haven't, very important. Definitely check out all of the podcasts that have been dropped. I think we're up to 9 now, if I believe. But the most recent one, John Kiriakou, great interview. Highly recommend you check that out.
Especially people.
And for those of you concerned about Julian Assange, highly recommend checking that out. And then, of course, on Monday, we will be dropping our new podcast with Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Spread the word, and we'll definitely see you soon.
Bye, guys.